Hey guys, what's going on? It's Alex here with the final part of my Ars Nouveau my Ars Nouveau walkthrough. Sorry this video took so long to get out. I've had some real life things coming up that keep me preoccupied. Anyways, this is the part we're going to look at the last little bit of stuff we haven't seen yet, which are familiars, the rest of the magical equipment, and of course, the Wilden Chimera, which you can see I tested over there to see what would happen, and it didn't go as planned. So, to start today, we're going to look at some familiars. Now, these guys are going to be really helpful, and they've got various different ways that they're going to help you. First off, I do want to say there is one familiar right now that I cannot find a way to get, and that is the bookworm. Now, normally to spawn a bookworm in previous versions, you have needed to go to an enchantment apparatus. It takes 4 iron ingots, 4 source gems, and then you would put an egg in the center. But as you can see, if I put an egg in here now, this is no recipe found. What that would then do is get you the bookworm charm, which you would right click on a lectern. That would turn it into a bookworm lectern, and that would summon a bookworm. And then you would just do the ritual binding on it, get the bound script, and then you'd have it. But unfortunately, nothing I've done has worked, and nothing that there's not really anything on the wiki to say about it, so I'm not sure if there's just a bug in 1.19.2 or what. But we'll take a look at how to get the other ones. So you can see in there we've got our Wixie, Drigme, Starbuckle, Bookworm, or not Wixie, Whirlsprig. The Wixie actually despawned. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna right click our brazier, start our tablet of binding, and start the ritual. And there we go. Now we've got all these bound crystals. Let me just break in here and grab these. And all you need to do to use these, and I've actually got one here that I haven't done yet, is just right click with the script, and that unlocks the familiar. And to summon the familiars, you're going to open up your spell book. And actually, I need to delete some of these, because go to familiars, and you can see they're all here, and we just click summon. As far as the effects of these guys go, first off, I want to say you do get a summoning sickness, or in this case a familiar sickness, and it will prevent you from summoning another familiar for some duration. So to start off first, we're going to have a Starbuckle. Now what these guys do is they give you speed 2 just by existing. And if you give them a gold ingot, they will give you scrying to find gold ore. So if you need to find more gold ore, because this is a very gold intensive mod, summon one of these guys, gives you some speed 2, give them a gold ore or gold nugget, and you can get yourself a bunch of gold. So the way the Wixie familiar works is very similar to how the actual Wixie works. So what she will do is boost the duration of any potions that you consume, as well as accepting basic reagents to create or to grant you a tier 1 of that potion's effects. She will also throw harmful potions to enemies while in combat. The Whirlsprig familiar will grant a decreased cost to earth elemental spells, as well as give you bonus saturation for any foods consumed. The Drigme familiar will boost the power of earth elemental spells by 2, as well as give you a chance to get bonus looting when killing mobs. So last but not least, we have the Bookworm familiar, and like I said before, the only way I've found to get these guys is through creative mode. But what they do is reduce the cost of spells and also increase the damage of spells by 1. So now that we've looked at all the familiars, let's take a look at some of the magical equipment that's left to create. First one I want to look at is a really simple one. It's the Annotated Codex. It's crafted just with a spell, parchment, and leather. What this is going to do is if you take it out and right-click it, you can record all your known glyphs to the codex. Now these cost experience to create, and you can give this to a friend. They right-click with it. They learn everything that you know. So if you can be strategic with your friends, you can all learn different stuff and then use codexes, and yeah. So the first magical item we're going to look at is the runic chalk. Now what this is crafted using manipulation essence, bone meal, and mage bloom fiber, And this one is in a crafting table. The symbol, what I put underneath here, tells you where you need to craft it. Most things we're going to look at are the enchanting apparatus. But to use the runic chalk, all you're going to do is walk over to a spot, and then you will draw a rune. And to apply a spell to this rune, you'll just pull out your spell parchment. So in this case, we've got Touch Harm. And you can set the runes to all have that spell. What these are going to do, these are going to be almost like traps. So whenever something walks across it, it will be hit with that spell. So we can see we unleash this zombie here. And every time it walks on the spell or parchment, it gets hit with a spell. I'm sorry. Every time it walks on the chalk, it's going to get hit by a spell. And you may have seen these parchment or the chalk turn gray. That means that it has been triggered. These are powered by source, so they will need a source. They will work one time without source. Let me say that. One time without source, but to reactivate the rune, you will need to use some source. And the next thing we're going to look at are potion flasks. Now these, really straightforward. They can just hold 8 charges of a potion. To craft it, you'll need to go to an enchanting apparatus. It takes 2 abjuration essence, a source gem block, and a block of gold, and a bottle. And that will make a potion flask. As I said, it just holds 8 charges of a potion. Just walk up to your potion jar, pull it out, you'll be good to go. You can modify this 2 different ways. You can either surround it with abjuration essence and create an enchanted potion flask amplify that increases the level of potions but reduces their duration. Or you can surround it with manipulation essence and you can extend the time. So it works same as if you added glowstone or redstone. This is something I meant to look at before, and I might have covered it in my enchantments. There is a new enchantment that is only able to be added through the enchanting apparatus, and that is reactive. Now what this is going to do, whenever you enchant something with this spell, there is a chance that every time that item is used, it will cast that spell. And the way you set the spell is apply a spell parchment in this first recipe with lapis lazuli and a source gem block, and then you would put whatever item you want to enchant in the middle slot. That will get you Reactive 1. Now this goes up to 4 stages. Reactive 2 is crafted using... I missed something here. Hold on a second. Alright, so the way that you craft Reactive 2 is through 4 blaze powder, 1 water essence, 1 fire essence, 1 air essence, and I did miss 1 earth essence, and you will need to put, of course, the item with Reactive 1 into here to upgrade to Reactive 2. Reactive 3 gets you 4 emeralds, an ender pearl, conjuration, manipulation, and abjuration essence. And Reactive 4, there's not a book for this one, so trust me, this is Reactive 4, I promise, is 4 diamonds, an ender pearl, and a Wilden tribute. So this one is you can only get after defeating the Wilden Chimera, which again we will look at later on. Now we have a couple more magical things, like potion or spell related things before we get into, or potion related things before we get into the magical weaponry. So first up, we have the Splash Flask Cannon, which is crafted using gold ingots, blaze rods, 4 gunpowder, and a dispenser. And there are 2 different versions of this. So there's the Splash Flask Cannon, which the way this works is it will pull from your pull from potions or potion flasks in your inventory. And this one will create it into a splash potion. And the Lingering Flask Cannon, which is crafted using a Splash Flask Cannon, 2 air essence, and a Dragon's Breath. So this one is after you defeat the Ender Dragon. You can create the Lingering Flask Cannon, which will create a lingering effect in all of your potions. Now we have the Casting Wand. Casting Wand is if you want to go beyond the 10 spell limit. So as you know, with the spell books, you can only have up to 10 spells active. Casting Wand, it basically acts as an extra spell slot. So it's crafted using 4 source gems, air essence, manipulation essence, 2 gold ingots, and any kind of archwood log. So the way you use a casting wand is throw it in the scribe's table and select the spell you want to use to say, and it actually only accepts augments and effects. So say we want to AoE conjure water. And create that. Shift right click and that sets the spell. The casting wand acts as a projectile, so that gets you the bonus spell slot. And the last thing we're going to look at before we get into enchant and magical weaponry is the Alchemist's Crown, which is crafted using a gold helmet and 3 glass bottles. Really all this is going to do, if we put it on, and actually it is a bauble So we put it in the bauble, press G. That would open a radial of potions. So now we can see I've got Potion of Leaping, Potion of Invisibility, and Potion of Swiftness. If I hit G, I can automatically consume one of those spells without having to actually drink it. So this could be a great way to get effects on the fly, as you can see here. Boom, Potion of Invisibility. And finally, Potion of Swiftness. All without having to stop and take a drink. And also not throwing a splash potion, and not creating a lingering effect for your enemies to use. And now into the Enchanted Weaponry. Now this stuff is pretty cool. So first off, there's the Enchanter's Mirror. This one isn't actually weaponry. It's crafted with 2 glass, 2 manipulation essence, 2 archwood logs, and 2 gold ingots and a source gem block. That will get you the Enchanter's Mirror. Now this works similar to the casting wand, where it's already got a form, so you don't need to do that. So let's create another spell for it. So again, no form, it will always be self. So say we want a self, let's see, what sounds fun? Self-ignite, let's do self-ignite. So now we can see this is set to self-ignite, and I right click it, and it doesn't actually ignite. Because I'm in survival, or creative mode. So now if I right click it, you can see I just set myself on fire, hooray! So now let's take a look at the Enchanter's Sword. Now this one is crafted using a diamond sword, 2 blocks of gold, and 2 source gem blocks. Now let me just make sure to say these are all shapeless. They're all crafted in enchantment apparatus. So yeah, now what this is going to do, it is going to automatically put an amplify on the last spell effect. And again, it's not going to have a form, it is a touch. And you can see it is already 1 extra attack damage than diamond. So we put that in there. We'll create a harm and ignite. And that sets the spell on there, so it is set to touch, harm, ignite, amplify. And actually, let me be smart, put this in the opposite way. So now we have touch, ignite, harm, amplify. So we see our villager here, we smack him once, he's hurt, and now he's on fire. And now he's dead. Next we have the Enchanter's, Next we have the Enchanter's bow. This is crafted using a bow, source gem block, manipulation essence, and a block of gold. Same way as the sword, you'll just right click it onto the table, create yourself a spell that sounds fun. So we'll actually just stick with Ignite Harm. Pull it out, you can see it's got projectile Ignite Harm. You want to make sure that you have arrows in your inventory, because it works like a normal bow. You need arrows to fire. And granted, you have enough mana, you can shoot your bow, and it will take on the spell that you enchant it with. If you do not have mana, it will actually launch a projectile that will do 0 damage. So definitely keep that in mind. And last but not least, we have the Enchanter's Shield. Now what this is crafted with is a shield, 2 blocks of gold, and 2 source gem blocks. And what the Enchanter's Shield will do is whenever you block damage with it, you will gain a mana regeneration and extra bonus spell damage for a short duration. And over time, it will also heal itself with your active mana pool. So now, we are all geared out. We know how to create familiar. We know how to summon familiars. We know how to get the bound scripts for familiars. We have all our enchanted gear. We have our potions and potion flasks ready. We have our partner Bookworm here. We're ready to fight the Chimera. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be very straightforward. I'm not going to actually fight the Chimera today. I'm going to show you how the Chimera acts, and I'm going to be in survival mode, so it's going to actually deal damage to me. But I do want to make sure it is known. I fought this guy in full netherite gear, unenchanted, and I mean, the only spell I had was my projectile, harm, amplify. It was not easy. He did a lot of damage very fast, so definitely be prepared. Make sure you have your enchanted, plenty of mana. You have your Enchanter's Sword, Enchanter's Bow, Enchanter's Shield, all that stuff. And make sure you have your augments or your threads on your armor. So, we're going to throw on my enchanted netherite now. You can see I've got protection 4 on the head and chest plate, projectile protection on the leggings, and blast protection on the boots. This is just so that I know I'm not going to die while fighting this guy, so I can accurately show you what's going to happen when he's summoned. And I do have... We're going to go ahead and create this spell again, because this is the way that I feel is going to take care of him fastest while also being able to show what he can do. So as we know, to summon the Wilden Chimera, you need the Tablet of Wilden Summoning, and then toss in a Wilden Wing, Wilden Spike, and Wilden Horn. If you see this screen here, that means that you are getting ready to summon the Wilden Chimera. So we right click it, and it does this spell effect. So we're going to go into creative mode now, so he'll actually attack me so you can see what's going to happen. So you can see whenever he first spawns, he's going to summon some wolves. And his first phase, he is a multi-stage boss. His first stage, he will charge at you and smack you like how the Wilden Hunters do. And you can see he's still doing some relatively good damage. He did a full heart of damage there. Remember, I'm in full prot for netherite armor. This first stage really isn't that bad. But as you can see, once you hit him into this next phase, he starts getting these effects here. And he becomes like a Wilden Guardian. These spikes do deal a significant amount of damage. Let's see if I can get hit by one. So you can see there, it gives me slowness and weakness. And now, that's probably going to get me killed. But now he's going to summon some allies again. Included in these allies is going to be a Wilden Guardian. You didn't see it there because I did kill him pretty quick. And he does move a lot faster. And I realized I did forget to give myself a way to heal. So I might end up dead in this fight. Who knows? And you can see now he's gone into his Wilden Guardian phase again. This one, I think it's best to just try to dodge the projectiles, or if you have your Enchanter's Shield, use that. So we should be able to burst him down here. Alright, let's see if I can do this really fast. Self. Nope, not harm. Heal. Amplify. Create. Oh. And there we go. Now, he is in a Wilden... okay, I made a mistake before. He's in another phase 3 here. This phase is the final phase. He will use everything in his arsenal to deal as much damage to you as possible. So you can see he's summoning all the Wilden allies. He's in Wilden Guardian form now. And he actually does have multiple ways this fight can go. Because this is not the fight that I had whenever I tested. Which, this one is... Yeah. So, there's another phase that he can go into, not this one. He actually becomes like a Wilden Hunter. And he flies up into the air and launches down at you. And does a massive explosion. That is what these explosion holes are from. So I was actually unaware that he had multiple ways to harm you here. So now we're going to burst him down here. This should be the final phase, and there he goes. Now I am going to try to summon him again just to see if we can get the phase that I know. So that way I can accurately show off what you could experience. And this time this guy should deal like no damage to me. So you saw how deadly he was in the first fight. And again, full protection, 4 armor, and still nearly killing me several times if I didn't get that self-heal off. And we can see here, this second phase, he turned into the Wilden Hunter. There we go. He's got the wings this time, so this should be a combination of the Hunter and... I'm sorry, I'm forgetting their names. Wilden Stalker. So now he's flying up in the air, and once he locks onto you, he launches to the ground and explodes, and you can see it did massive damage. That did something like 3 to 4 hearts with resistance and full prot 4, including 1 blast protection 4. So it's no joke whenever he hits you. So there we go. And as we know, I did not do enough research on this guy before summoning him in, but it appears the first phase of the battle is just the Wilden Chimera. Second phase, it will choose one of the Wilden smaller enemies to take their attributes. So you can say the Wilden Spike is when it becomes it becomes stationary but launches the spikes in volleys. I think it's 5 volleys per time. The Wilden Stalker, where it will fly into the air and launch down at you and explode, or the Wilden Pack Hunter, where it will charge you and summon wolf allies. And finally, the third phase, it will select 2 of those 3 and become a much more dangerous threat. But anyways, that will pretty much wrap it up for Ars Nouveau. Again, this is such a fun mod, and I definitely hope they continue on with it, and would love to see the bookworm. I'm not sure if it's just something I'm doing, but I could not find an answer as to how to get it. Just because it's a nice thing to have around. So yeah, if this walkthrough was helpful, please let me know in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe. And definitely make sure you let me know in the comments what other mod you would like me to take a look at. And I will do to the best of my ability, find out all about that mod and give you guys a walkthrough that can hopefully help you learn the mod. The Minecraft modding community is large and strong as ever, so I certainly can't wait to see what you guys request from me next. And you guys, thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.